Of course, my first thought was, what are you doing? What are you doing? What's up, Flomies? It is a cold winter day, third day of what I'm calling hell week. This is a crazy week for me. It is 30 degrees, I got my workout on, I'm in the merch, I'm counting my blessings, I'm drinking my protein, I'm saying thank you to Jesus that I can get through this. If you are new here, I'm Fallon, you are the Flomies. If you are not already subscribed, make sure and click that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, be the first to view because I do giveaways all the time. But I can't put you guys through another bad hair day. I gotta do something. Help. I gotta fix this. Oh, that's better. Okay, now I'm ready to get this day started. Okay guys, it's been a long day of packing and I'm literally sitting on U-Haul boxes. None of my normal equipment is available for me to use, so we going old school. I'm about to get pretty controversial. I'm gonna hit all the hot buttons on RFD TVs. The American, I don't really get controversial, not like this controversial, so hang with me. Things I'm gonna talk about: buybacks at the American, qualifications and their fairness, etc., etc., etc. Let's talk about it, let's get into it. Now, who do I think I am with all these opinions? The cool thing about having all of these platforms to speak on is that I'm able to voice my opinion freely and openly. I love this country, I can do that. However, I know a lot of people, everyone, has their own opinion about anything I'm about to say. And that's cool, go get them, Tiger. But you can use your platform to voice your opinion on that, and people do it all the time. I believe if you're going to voice the opinion, you can't just be an observer, or you shouldn't be, in my opinion. In my opinion, it is better to come from a place where you can say you've walked a mile in that person's shoes. So I feel like I can give you an opinion on both sides. I've been 16th in the world by $700 to qualify for the national finals. I've been 11th in the world standings when they take the top 10 to the American. I've been 11th at a qualifier that they take the top 10 to. And frankly, I've been 5th when they take the top 4 back to the shootout round. So I've walked a mile in everyone's shoes, and these are just a few of my opinions. So for you guys that are not competitive barrel racers, let me do a really quick rundown of what the American is. Now, the rules change every single year, so I could get something wrong. I've been wrong before. RFD TV's The American is the one-day richest rodeo in the world. Held in the Cowboy Stadium, this is an amazing rodeo. So this is a Joes versus Pros format, meaning the pros are the top 10 from the world standings of 2017, and the Joes are going to be people that come from qualifiers. Now, in the qualifications for the barrel race, that's the only thing that I'm pretty familiar with the rules on. The rules of the American are simple and confusing at the same time. So here's what you need to know. The top in the world are going to get an invite in to run at the Cowboy Stadium. The Joes have to qualify at various events all over the country. Some even came in from Brazil this year to compete, to win one of these spots to compete at the Cowboy Stadium. The Cowboy Stadium will pay out generally about $2.5 million depending on who wins what and where. It claims to have over 700 contestants competing for these Joes spots, so it's a very exciting time for a lot of people who wouldn't otherwise be able to compete at an event like this. Because in barrel racing, men are not allowed to compete in the WPRA. This is the only place that there are no age limits, no gender limits, and you can ride any horse you want. So this is a big deal. Unlike the futurities that are an aged event where you have to specify the horse, this is a different scenario where you can qualify through, change it up when you get through, no big deal. Guy, girl, under 18, over 60, doesn't matter. You can run for your chance of the prize money. So it becomes very, very exciting. I've been able to be a world qualifier, world ranked qualifier 3 times in my career. Very, very blessed to do that. Let me break down a couple of arguments that people have when they look at the American. One argument is that it is easier to qualify as someone in the world standings that gets all the way through and doesn't have to go through the semifinals process than it is for the Joes to go through the other process of going to qualifiers and through the semifinals. So I'm going to argue both sides. I have been a person that missed the qualifications in the world standings, had to go to qualifiers, and missed out on that also. So I was number 11 out of 10 to come back. Number 10 turned out. I did not get bumped up. I commentated that year, and that was cool with me. I would have loved to have gotten to run. I didn't get to run. I cried over it. I wanted to be a part of it so bad. I spent a lot of money going to a qualifier in Arizona. I spent my $500 entry fee to run, and I did not make it through. Now, if you go through that way, say you don't make it through it that one, you can enter as many as you want. It just gets really, really pricey. Then after that, you are called to Fort Worth this week in February, where you will run against almost 300 horses. Now this year they changed it up, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. But if you can get in the top 30, then you can move on to the next round where they narrow it down even more until they get to the top contenders that get to go to compete at the Cowboy Stadium. It is a grueling competition process. One, the people that are going to qualifiers probably do not have a full-time rodeo schedule. So they are probably working a 9 to 5, having to take time off of work, load up their rig and their families to travel to all these various places. These are people that probably do not travel full-time with their horses, so they're putting a lot of wear and tear that's abnormal for them on their truck, their trailer, their livelihood, a lot of strain on their families to get from place to place. Plus, they've got to get hotel accommodations, travel to a place they might have never run at to run in a rodeo-like scenario. Now, if they are under 18 or a guy, they have a lot less practice than anyone else because they aren't allowed to run in a rodeo setup, typically. So they are at a disadvantage there. However, they do get the opportunity to run. Now, on the flip side of the coin is being a top 10 in the world qualifier from the National Finals Rodeo or the WPRA standings from 2017. So if you are a pro, you have to be in the top 10 in the world. Now, here's the catch on that little deal. If you travel all year long and you pay between $100,000 and $150,000 to be on the road, that does not include your truck, trailer, things like that. That's just entry fees, diesel, accommodations, stalls, incidentals, etc., 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 to get down the road. Plus, you are not guaranteed to get to the national finals. But let's say you squeak in there and you get to the national finals. If you are having a good finals and you can work your way up the ladder and you can get to the top 10, you are in there for a free seat all the way through to Cowboy Stadium. However, like me one time, I slipped to number 11 because I had a terrible national finals. Then I went to the next qualifier, paid my $500 entry fees, and I ended up number 11 there. So I failed both sides, just one position away from being able to qualify to straight through and to the semifinals. So I've been on both sides of this for sure. And it stings. But on this side, this person spent 1 year's time, about 150 grand to go to those places. The people on this side didn't pay any less money, and it's a little bit more of a process for them to go through. Now, one person had to compete at probably 70 to 80, almost 90 rodeos, depending on how they got to the NFR. They could have qualified in 12 rodeos, you'd never know. But typically it's gonna be on average about 70 rodeos. This person may have gone to one qualifier, might have gone to 5, I don't know, could have gone to 10, whatever their budget would allow. But I can argue both sides of the coin, there isn't an easier route. And then to outrun 200 horses or 300 horses at a semifinals, and to outrun basically, they take the top 15 in the world, so you just have to be better than 5 people in the world standings. There's not an easier way. It's just apples and oranges. There's no good way to compare these two things. The one thing that I can tell you is that if you've dedicated your life to this pros way and you have a decent year, it is your privilege to be able to go through to the American as an added bonus of what you're doing. Now, let's say that you went to the NFR, it took you the base average of about 100 grand to get there, and you definitely break even at best when you're on the road, even when you make it to the national finals. If you have a stellar national finals, you still aren't putting a ton of money into your pocket, but you're limited. You can run for $100,000, but you cannot run for the million. However, if you are one of the Joes and you qualify through, you may have spent a little bit less money to get there, not including truck, trailer, and horse, but a little bit less money in entry fees and travel to get there. However, you have to outrun 300 head of horses, then you have to outrun 30, then you have to get yourself to Cowboy Stadium to then get to that $1 million prize. So basically, it's rodeo Hunger Games. There's no easy way around it. There is no easy pill to the top. You can argue it both ways until you're blue in the face. What I concur is that it is a privilege to run at this rodeo. It is not a right. And rodeo does not have a bunch of $1 million events like some other equestrian events. Now, for ages and ages, equestrians have competed for over $1 million, but in rodeo, it's brand new to us. So I welcome all of the attention that it gets, whether it be from the top 10 in the world, and I've been number 11, or the top 10 from a qualifier, I've been number 11, to come together and put on a really amazing show that fans want to watch in a beautiful venue. But I'm not here to be sugary sweet. Let me tell you what I think about the buyback system. I'm going to give you both sides of the buyback system. So if you're new to rodeo, here's what they also do. This has never been done before at the American. What they've said is if you hit a barrel or you no time for some reason, you can get a buyback. You can pay $375 to come back and run again. I think they said that you can run up to 2 times, so you can buy back more than once. That could be in just another one of the events. I know in the steer wrestling, I think you could buy back 3 times. But there was a rumor on Facebook that you could buy, they waived the rule of hitting a barrel or getting a no time to anyone that wanted to buy back could participate for $375. Of course, my first thought was, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? But my next thought, because I love to be objective, I like to see both sides and kind of see where I live. Now, on one side, Buyback. You're about to compete at Cowboy Stadium. There's no do-overs. This is the rodeo tough life. Are you freaking kidding me? This is not a everybody gets a prize kind of scenario. You guys are cashing in a ton of money. They cashed in about $40,000 on the buybacks. Now, the other side of that coin, if I'm being really reasonable, says, I love when there is a chance to redeem yourself in a fair manner. Now, you can argue if it's fair or not, because I believe when they lifted that rule, I was like, not really fair. But I think they could have bucked the system, and if you had a bad run, you could just run over the third barrel, call it a day, get a buyback. I don't really know if anybody thought of it that way, but from the perspective of just watching it at home, I was like, if I get by the first barrel, I would just run over the third barrel if I was one of those people and just pay my $375. My other thought is this: if these people that qualified and then got the chance to buy back, whether it be they hit a barrel, they no time, or they waived that rule, which could just be a Facebook rumor, if they came back to buy back, think about this. They've driven all the way down to Texas from wherever. They've spent money on transportation, hotels, stalls. They are here. If those producers allow them the chance to compete again, and it lines up with their values, and it's somehow within the rules systematically, and it's not against the rules, then for some people, that's the right choice. They're already there. They've already spent the money. They've got a once-in-a-lifetime golden ticket to the semifinals. They earned that chance. And if they are given the privilege of buying back and they decide to so partake, no judgment from me. It's not my, I don't have dog in the fight. But that being said, with the producers getting this much cash in your pocket, the first thing you're probably thinking is, I just don't want to see them making so much money off in an event. And it can get you pretty enraged, like they're making so much money off of this event. I love when money can come into our sport. And apparently, almost half of the competitors agreed that they thought this was a great idea and a great solution. So I think it was almost the majority, or very, very close to the majority of the competitors decided, hey, great rule, put me in. So the majority has spoken, I'm pretty sure the majority, that this is something that they're interested in participating in. The producer made it something that they can proceed with. They've provided an amazing event with amazing prizes, with your chance to be in front of a TV audience of hundreds of thousands of people, which could help your career with sponsorships. Renting out the Dallas Cowboys Stadium is no cheap venture, and providing all the things that they provide once you get there. When you get to the American, you get a bag full of goodies, tons of freebies. You get treated like rodeo royalty, you truly do. And all of the pyro and the production and the TV time and the crews and the camera, there are probably costs incurred that would blow your mind. So the 40 grand that they earned from the buybacks probably didn't make even a small dent in what it costs to have the staff, the tractor guys, the whatever, come to the event. Just my opinion. It's just my opinion. I've put on several events or been a part of several events where a lot of people think people are just making hand over fist money, but they just do not understand how much money actually goes out or what it really costs for insurance and all these other things. And those numbers add up, and they add up fast. So to say that RFD TV is making a boatload of money when they're giving away so much and over $2.5 million in prize money, they're getting by. Cowboy Stadium's not sold out when you go in there. So, and tickets are very, very reasonable. P.S. I'm not being paid to make this video. I am not sponsored by RFD TV. I am an invitee to be able to go commentate. So I'm gonna do the best job humanly possible to do that. I feel like they do an amazing job. I'm a huge fan of RFD TV, huge fan. Every time I'm invited to do something, I try my best to do it. But I did think that the buybacks was super controversial, and I agree that I don't know that for me, I was like, I don't really, it feels a little bit like everybody gets a prize. But when the majority speaks and says, this is a great idea, we're here, we don't mind spending another little bit of money since we're already down here to take another stab, I can agree with that too. I can get on board with that. I'm not a, if you stand for nothing, you fall for anything kind of chick on this deal. I just want to see the sport grow. And in my mind, the more lucrative it can be for everyone, then the better. Imagine that a 10-year-old that bought a buyback gets in, wins the million, boom, multinational news coverage, it gets coverage everywhere. Guess who wins? Barrel racers, because more people see the sport, more people want to get involved, more people see what an amazing community of people this is, and they say, hey, that's a family-friendly sport I never heard of before. I think I want to sponsor it. So that's my thought process. They want to give you a second chance, and the majority says they want to take it for $375. Go for it. I will say I was shocked. I was totally shook over the buyback system. Then I saw a bunch of barrel races after that saying, barrel insurance. We're promoting, in the spirit of the American, we're promoting barrel insurance, where we'll have a side pot for if you hit a barrel, you can also win something. At first, I was pretty shook. Second, if you can get more people to enter a barrel race, more money in the pot, somebody can scoop in there and have a big giant payday. Again, not a fan of everybody gets a prize, but it's a really cool concept. I am like an aggressive competitor in my heart, so I'm still a little shook by it. But if the majority speaks and they love it and it brings more money into the sport, more people get involved, more people enter, all for it. I'll tell you a quick story. Back in the day at the limited rodeos, San Antonio, Houston, Calgary, Denver, they would have a qualifier a couple of weeks before or the week before. They would say, anybody that wants to try to get in this rodeo, we're gonna give you a shot. You have to be a permit or a card holder, maybe just a card holder, but a permit or a card holder, you can enter this one time top 10 gets into the rodeo. And then you can make it to the national finals. With a little bit less resistance if your horse worked good and everything and the stars aligned, if you could get into these bigger paying rodeos, because it would shorten your trip to how many rodeos you have to go to if you do well at those big rodeos. So I qualified for Houston one time at a qualifier the week before the rodeo. I won that qualifier. I got to go compete at Houston. I got to win a lot of money. And I was a young girl who didn't qualify any other way. So I thought that was really cool. In my personal opinion, in the barrel race, we should open up entries on every rodeo like that, to open up, and anybody wants to pay fees to come run the week before, and then we take a percentage into whatever these big top rodeos are, because barrels don't cost money. You're not risking livestock. It's a timer, it's a tractor driver, and 3 tin cans. Like, put them up there, rack up all the dollars you can, as long as they are being used in the right direction, as long as those funds are being appropriated to the right place and go right back in the pockets of the producer and the competitors mainly. The producers have bills to pay, but as long as they appropriate the right amount of funds to the competitors, I would say open it wide open and let's make this thing super, super fierce. Because I don't mind getting my butt kicked by a little kid, because I was once the little kid doing the butt kicking. I appreciate it. I want to add one more point. So say that you came from the semifinals because you didn't have the money to rodeo all year long. You had enough money to go to a qualifier to get through in the top 10 of that qualifier, and now you've made it to the semifinals. Now they've popped up this new rule of you being able to buy back, but you don't have the resources to buy back, and someone else does. Is it still fair? For some people, you could give them 10,000 tries and $10,000 to waste away on any kind of entry fees, and they won't achieve any level of success on any platform. That's just the truth. Those same people aren't going to luck into anything. So don't worry if you didn't have the resources or you couldn't go. What you're working with is what you are working with. And I couldn't enter multiple qualifiers, so I didn't make it through several years ago. So I sat at home. And other people made it through. I don't know how much of the game it would have changed if these rules would have been implemented early on, but there's plenty of people, and you can probably think of people right off the bat. Your dad, your uncle, whoever, you could put them on the best barrel horse in the country and give them as many tries as they wanted, but they're probably still not going to make it through. And let's say they accidentally got through to the top 30 to go on to qualify to be in the top 10. They're not going to probably luck out twice, and if they get lucky again, they're probably not going to beat out every single top competitor in the world to go home with $1 million. So I do not believe that any single competitor is getting lucky or has some giant advantage over another competitor. This rodeo is a privilege to compete at. It is not a right. So if there are different levels that people are able to compete in, and I might not be one of those people, then I'm going to try harder next year. Now, if I knew in advance that there was a buyback system and I was able to save up my money for that just in case, maybe I would have, or maybe I would have thought, man, if I save up this money, that's just kind of like feeling like an intention that I know I'm gonna lose, and I don't feel like that lines up with my values. It just depends on you as a competitor. So without being too objective, good luck to all of you competitors. Again, I think it is a privilege to run where you are. I wish you the ultimate success of your day. And some of you, just being able to be around this environment is going to inspire a lifetime of success for you. I hope you have an amazing, amazing time at Cowboy Stadium at the semifinals. Take a deep breath, soak it all in. It'll be over before you know it. And somebody's going home with a whole lot of money. I have many, many favorites for the American. In the top 10, you have got Lisa Lockhart and Louie, who have already won this thing. They are amazing. They are super consistent. Don't forget about our brand new world champion, Nellie. She is amazing. She is queen of consistency, just like she showed at the NFR. She's gonna show that again at the American. You cannot rule out Haley Kinsel, who is fantastic. She is riding her horse Sister. And also, One of my favorites, again, I don't know this girl, I'm just a fan of hers when I watch her run, Tacey Bettis. She's right in there. You've got Stevie Hillman coming in hot. Tons of other girls are gonna be there. I can't wait to see who makes it through the semifinals. I will be commentating on RFD TV for the barrel race at the American. I will be sure to be letting you guys see all the behind the scenes of absolutely everything I'm doing. I couldn't be more thrilled. My right hand is still broken from signing all the stuff from my closet. I'm glad that you guys got all the stuff out of my closet from today's giveaway. I really hope that you loved absolutely everything that you get. I can't wait for you to see it on you. Make sure and tag me on Instagram. If you haven't already gotten your merch, make sure to go to shopthemerch.com. And if you aren't already subscribed, make sure to subscribe, ding the little bell, and I will see you guys again tomorrow. Don't forget to count your blessings, drink your protein, and say thank you to Jesus. Congratulations.